Hello and welcome to South Bay Sports Radio. Here's your host, Nick Ingram.
On today's episode, we are sitting down with Rolling Hills Prep girls basketball coach Moniquee Alexander. We'll be talking about her beginnings in basketball, her time at UCLA growing up in Harbor City, winning CIF with Rolling Hills Prep, and all the things that go into it. Please welcome Coach Moniquee Alexander to South Bay Sports Radio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Coach. Before we get started, I want to shout out my sponsor, Barber2U. Eli and his staff do a complimentary job on all things haircuts, from tapers, fades, beard trims. This thing has never been looking better, and they're trying to do a lot more, even hot towel press. So if you've got a chance, listeners, check out Barber2U, located in Torrance, just off of PCH and Crenshaw. All right, Coach, let's go back to your beginnings. When did you fall in love with basketball?
So I fell in love with basketball probably around 10th grade. Funny enough, I was in the Food for Less in Harbor City. And one of the moms from Narbonne saw me in Food for Less, standing about 6'4", 6'5". And she was like, "Oh my God, you're not on the team. You should totally be on the team." And my aunt at the time was in the store with me. And I looked at her and she was like, "Well, I'll talk to her grandmother." And, my aunt went back, talked to my grandmother. I told my grandma I want to try. And she's like, "Okay." And it's kind of just all she wrote. James Anderson was the coach at the time. I was way behind in terms of skills and understanding of the game. And I'm forever grateful to James Anderson for, taking the time to train me and work with me on weekends during the week. And mind you, we had girls that were going to USC, Connecticut, Baylor, all types of places. And here I was, this kid that just started in 10th grade, didn't know where to go on offense or defense. And he just took me and really developed me. So yeah, and then I actually got an opportunity to go to camps in the summer. I went to Adidas camp, the rest of the team went to Nike camp, but he just really opened the doors for me in terms of my start with basketball. So, yeah.
When you have a player who doesn't have the kind of pedigree that a lot of your starters do, how does that help you, knowing where you came from and knowing that just a little bit of tender loving care can help this player become even better?
I think the important thing for me is always remembering where I've come from. My grandmother used to always tell me, never forget where you've come from. And I've taken that with me in my coaching and how I address my kids. The one thing my kids, I do believe they know that I love them, and I'm always going to be 10 toes down for them. And I think when girls, especially when we know that, we're just able to develop more and we understand that it's a safe space. I think we as young women, we deal with a lot. And I don't think a lot of times coaches understand that. And I also don't think sometimes we as coaches understand the weight of our words and how that can impact negatively or positively a player. So just really taking that all into consideration and just taking my experiences, good and bad, and just really using that to help the next player just kind of just become the best her, just making sure that she goes to college and she understands who she is and that she's worthy and that she is capable of anything, whether she plays college at the next level or not. And just using my time with them to make sure that they understand that. That's very important to me.
You go from Narbonne to IMG Academy in Florida. What was the biggest difference that you saw between a public school at home and IMG Academy in Florida?
Well, it was a lot. A lot went into it. My grandmother at the time had dementia, and I didn't want to leave. My mother passed when I was 11. My dad was never really active in my life, and the person that was in charge of that decision was my uncle. And I told him I don't really want to go because Nana's, at the time not going to remember me and all this stuff. And he was like, "Well, what's going to happen is going to happen whether you're here or not. Life happens." And I knew then when he said that, I was like, "Well, I'm going to Florida." I think the biggest thing is that family wasn't around. And then I also think being in a dorm with other kids, because at IMG, when I was there, I was in the dorm with like the kids from like Jamaica and all these different places where they were like preparing to be the best in their sport. It wasn't just basketball players. So we had tennis, we had basketball, we had football, we had all types of different people in the dorms. And the one thing that was different, I feel like, was that they controlled what we ate and like our food plans. So, at a private school, I mean at a public school, you get what you get. But at IMG, every day our food was planned, our agenda was planned, what we did. When I went to school, I went to school off campus. So I trained at IMG, but my school was off campus, and we took buses. And I mean, our free time was the a Walmart on Sundays. We would go to Walmart, get everything we need for the week, and come back. So I mean, it was totally different in terms of that. But the biggest thing for me was family, because I was raised around my family, and my family is everything to me. So to not have them around was tough. Yeah.
You go to UCLA, but how many schools were after you, and what went into that decision to say, I want to be a Bruin?
A lot of schools were after me. I had the opportunity to get on a call with UConn. Even a call from UConn is amazing. I had an opportunity, Tennessee, USC, UCLA, all the, lower D1 schools around, all the Florida schools, because I was in Florida. But I think the
Mhm.
reason why I went back was because I wanted to be there. I didn't get a chance to do it with high school, but with my grandmother, but I wanted my grandmother to be able to come to my senior night, and just be a part of it. And she was able to do that. She was able to walk across in Poly across the court with me on senior night. And that was the biggest thing that went into it. It was between TCU and UCLA, and I picked UCLA. And I'm forever grateful to UCLA for the opportunity.
What are some of those memories that you have during your time at UCLA? Like we talked about before, you got the chance to see Noelle Quinn's senior year, and she's a South Bay legend in her own right. But, walk me through that journey from freshman year to senior year as a Bruin.
I think the important thing, for anyone that's watching, if they're looking to go to college, I think people need to know that for me, my SAT scores weren't where they needed to be. And it was because of Kathy Olivier. She actually wrote a letter for me that got me into UCLA, and they took a chance. UCLA took a chance on a kid from Harbor City that, came from humble beginnings, but they, saw my character, they saw my family and said, okay, we're going to give her an opportunity. My freshman year going into the summer, I didn't even know if I was in, but I was training, I was preparing like I was a part of the team, and it wasn't until August that they finally confirmed that I was in school. And I'm forever grateful to Kathy Olivier for even seeing that in me and writing that letter to admissions. And from there, academically, I had academic support. I got all the things that I needed to be academically successful. And just being able to graduate from UCLA was a big deal. And my uncle always let me know, like, my success is not my own. It's for the next girl coming after me that's coming from a Harbor City or a place that maybe they're looking going, I don't know if she can do it. And so it was important to me that I took that opportunity seriously and understood that this is for the people coming after me. So I'm forever grateful.
After your time at UCLA, you go on, you play in Turkey, Romania, Poland, Thailand, Ecuador, and then back to Turkey. What went into that decision to play overseas, and how would you describe basketball in Europe and basketball in America?
Well, I tried out for the WNBA. After I graduated, I tried out for the WNBA. I got all the way to the end, and obviously as a big, they're like, "Girl, you just got to get in shape, and we got you." And I just didn't want to do the WNBA. I didn't feel like it was really for me. I love the WNBA. I think it's great, but it just wasn't for me. So I decided to go overseas, and I had an agent and all that stuff. I think the difference is the time that they play us. Like if you, because I was, let's say in Turkey, I was Division 2, so you could only have two Americans on the team. So they're gonna play you 40 minutes almost every single game. There's no subbing. There's no I need a break. It's like, no, I'm paying you to be here, so you go play. So I think that was the difference. And then also just like the rights as women. Like a lot of times as women, we don't even notice that the freedoms of being able to speak and have our opinions. Like there's places where the women are like, they're like, no, we would prefer you not speak. And I was just grateful when I came back and I just had different perspective. Like, I have a lot of rights that people, some of my teammates didn't even have. So it definitely playing overseas gave me a lot of perspective and to be grateful to be over here, and the things that I do have.
You get your start coaching at Chadwick. What went into that decision to ultimately say, you know what, I think it's time I want to be a coach?
I think my relationship with basketball had reached its point of it's time to give back to a game that's given so much to me. So I decided to go ahead and put the basketball down and pick it up in a different way, which is coaching. I love it. Giving back to the girls, giving back to the game though, respecting the game. Like the game taught me so much. The game taught me resilience, patience, kindness, loyalty, all the different things that you would think you would just learn, just in life. I think if you just allow the game to teach you those things, it absolutely will. And I think it did for me. So I was ready to give it back to, you know, the next group coming. So I was really excited to be at Chadwick during that time.
What initially went into the decision to join the program at Rolling Hills Prep?
My time, like in any job, you make a decision, you kind of reach your point and it's just like it's time to move on. And it was a painful decision because I do when I coach, I coach with love and I do love my kids and it was hard, but I did decide to move on, which was a great decision for me on a lot of different levels. But I decided to move on. And actually, when I came over here, I was just coming over here to be learning support. I wasn't even coming to coach. But the coach at that time, Rachel Nagel, was like, please be my assistant. And I was like, okay, I'll be your assistant. And it kind of just took off from there.
You've coached as head coach for the last couple of years, winning CIF Division 2A last year. What's been the biggest thing about this program that you've not only learned, but you've kind of taken as we've got, we have to schedule tough because we know that when playoffs come, it's only going to get tougher.
Mhm.
You're one of the area's better teams, but how have you taken everything in stride?
I think the biggest thing is just one, as a coach, understanding my kids. Like if you don't understand your kids and you don't have a relationship with them, it's tough. Like the game has changed. The kids have changed. It's just a different time. So getting to know my kids and understanding when to push and when to pull back. When maybe we need to take time to just do something fun and when I really need to put the pedal to the metal. It's just knowing that. And I think understanding that it's one day at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and even us winning the championship, that was a 2-year stride. And it was every day, one day at a time, building, building, building. And and then it kind of just all came together that year. And it was such a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful experience from the beginning to the end. It was amazing. It really was.
This year, the girls finish 19-9. You scheduled games against teams like Redondo, Lusinger, and I saw you at that Palos Verdes game. What goes into the mentality behind scheduling those teams, knowing that that's exactly the kind of competition you're going to see come playoff time?
That's a big part of why I schedule the way I schedule, but people come to RHP because they get an opportunity to be coached by coaches that have either one, played at the Division 1 level, or two, have someone on the staff that has coached someone at the Division 1 level. So it is vital and important to me that when I have those one-on-one meetings with my players and they're saying, "Hey, I want to come here," that I schedule making sure they're going against girls that are going D1 or going D2 or wherever they're going. We don't know where they're going, but we know they're going to college. So it's important for me to make sure that I'm scheduling and it matches that. And college coaches ask for specific film, right? I want to see her against St. Joseph's. I want to see her against these teams. So to schedule that and then to be able to give them that film it's very valuable. So it's important that, yeah, we play Redondo and we're like, we're a smaller school, but that's why I tell my kids no bad film. Because regardless, win or lose, the college coach is literally looking at how did you play? And then they make their decisions from there. So if you can play with the big dogs and you say you want to be one, okay, let's see the film. So it's important that we have that film, to say that, hey, my girl can play with these girls.
Let's talk about some of the players now. Who are instrumental to the success of this team, not only this year but the last year as well?
Um, I mean, there's Kelly Kwan, there's Dee, there's Mia that's still here. She's a senior. There's Reagan, there's Brooklyn, and there's Leah, and then Izzy. So those are the players that have really been foundational in terms of changing the trajectory of our program and really hankering down and saying, no, we're going to get this done. And I think it speaks volumes to all of them because it's easy to leave when it's challenging. And I know it has been challenging. It has not always been easy, but these girls have looked at each other and said, all right, we're going to do this together. And I think that speaks volumes to who they are and their character and them believing in me as their leader. Right. A lot of times, people will go, oh, I'm not sure, but they always the conversation, right? Being able to have the conversations, being able to come together and figure it out. I think we've done a great job here at RHP with that. And I think that's why, we've been able to be so successful because we're a family. We take care of each other. And family don't, always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we still family. So I'm so proud of all the girls, like I got some young ones, Reese, KK, Kylie, Chelsea's one of our track stars. So we got some things cooking over here a little bit coming up. So I'm excited about it. Each year is a new year, different challenges, but I'm truly excited about where we're going. So
Let's talk about your mentors. Who are some of those coaches that you, or even teachers that you look to when you're like, I need your help with this situation. I need to know what you would do if you were in my shoes.
So, I think some of my biggest supporters and people that I can really lean on is Kerwin from Sage Hill. He's no longer there, but he was a big supporter. On those days where I just felt like I don't know if I could keep going, he had my back. The West coach, Keith Pendergrass, he was great. Always been great. I mean, I've worked with him since COVID, always 10 toes down, that whether he was at West or RHP, and his daughter actually went to RHP and played under me the first year I took over. So, great guy. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. And then my assistants, Chelsea Phillips and Sid Lewis, always 10 toes down. Like those are my girls. And we're great, team. Chelsea moved on and then we got a new coach and stuff like that. But I think all in all, it was coaching staff, the coaches around. Yeah. It's a small family.
Understand that private school and public school are completely different, especially with parents and having the support that you do. But what's been the biggest challenge for you as a coach, whether it's getting people on board, getting people to buy in, or having people understand that, hey, this is a process where we're not looking at wins and losses, we're looking at turning these young girls into women who can go into leadership opportunities later in life?
I think the biggest challenge, like you said, has been the process. The process is challenging and it's hard because sometimes you feel like I'm just never getting over that challenge. I'm not seeing the light. And I think that can be hard. But I think, again, the thing that I love about being here, even the parents that I've had, just a conversation, being able to sit down and have the hard conversations and really be open and honest, the transparency, I think is vital. And I think I was speaking to my new assistant coach, Coach Byrne, has been great assisting and just kind of having those conversations with me and really kind of, you know, giving me advice on that. He coached at Redondo during the time, and I think he was at South, and and he just has kind of been around the South Bay, so he gets it. So I think that's been really helpful. But I think the biggest thing is just the transparency and just letting the parents know that I am here for your kids. I do hear you. I do validate what you're saying, but you gotta trust me. You gotta trust the process and know that I do wish well for your kids. But giving me the opportunity to show that. And I think my parents, from the time that I started to now, all in all, I think all of them have given me the opportunity, which I'm very blessed to say that about the parents and the kids.
All right, coach, that's going to do it for the serious part of this interview. We're going to transfer into rapid fire. Go ahead, let the hair down. I've got 5 questions. for
Okay.
you. Your all-time favorite basketball players. Let's go top 3.
I would say Kobe, Noel Quinn,
Woo!
and Nikki. Oh my gosh. I'm literally blanking, but she's at SC right now. She's an assistant. But Nikki, she played for Nikki Blue. Love them. I love them. So yeah.
Noel Quinn, Bishop Montgomery. All right.
Yes.
You get a chance to sit down with anybody throughout history. Who would it be?
I feel like this is kind of cliche, but I would love to sit down with just Martin Luther King. Like, I just think he's a real one. I think he is just legit. And it's not even about race. It's just the way he carried himself. Like, he never let them see him sweat. Like, like I just would really want to sit down and ask some questions about like just, how it was and stuff. So Martin Luther King for sure, for me. Definitely.
I can definitely dig that. Top 2 basketball movies.
Obviously love it, basketball, like love that movie. And then okay, the girls would probably be so embarrassed that I said this. I always embarrass them. But Rebound with Martin Lawrence, where he was coaching a middle school team and it was funny. You gotta watch it. It is hilarious. So Rebound.
I'm gonna have to check that out with my boys.
Yep.
A biopic is being made about your life. Who plays Moniquee Alexander?
I would say Clarice from USC. She played here at RHP. Clarice, just because she's my height and I think she kind of gives my energy, I think she would play me. And she actually would do well. She's funny. So Clarice.
She's gonna have to take off her doctor shawl.
Right, okay. Add a little doctor to Coach Mo. Why not? But
there we go.
No. Clarice, for sure.
Yeah, she's great. All right, Coach. Last one.
Uh-huh.
Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there.
So my aunt just told me about this place, but Madre's in Old Torrance, that burrito is so good. It's so good.
What's in the burrito? All right.
So it's rice, beans, salsa. I kind of add stuff. So I added like guac, sour cream, and then I had like the red sauce. So it's kind of a wet burrito. It was good. I enjoyed it.
There we go. Madre's in Old Torrance.
Yep.
Coach, I thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you in the future. All the best to the Huskies.
Thank you so much.